crush perpetrators of evils and crimes, President Buhari assures as he appeals to warring communities to embrace peace.
People of Borno State, what is your own view? Because the decision has to be a collective one.
Borno government engages stakeholders on repentant Boko Haram members. No hiding place for drug traffickers, NDLEA boss warns as he visits Governor Ganduje in Kano.
The NDLEA is upstanding to make sure that we deny both the users and traffickers access to drugs.
Also tonight, Chief Justice of Nigeria summons judges over contradicting expert motions. Good evening. You are welcome to NTA Network News. I am Kenen Ima Abodike. Reading with me from Lagos tonight is Hengino John Adams. Let's start on security matters, as the presidency has assured all citizens that as a government, the administration is on top of events and is moving ahead with force to crush the perpetrators of the recent incidents of unrest in Plateau State.
In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the presidency says to achieve success, communities in Plateau State must unite against these horrific attacks. While these troubled communities are being reinforced with security personnel, religious, traditional and other community leaders must not allow the use of their spaces for the propagation and incitement to violence. It is important for both Nigerians and the international community to appreciate that there are a multitude of factors attendant to these troubles. There is Boko Haram, an issue of terrorism, as well as the spate of kidnappings for ransom, transformed by some misinformed global media into a Muslim and Christian threat. Yet in reality, there are no religious connotations at all. Similarly, the presidency cited the harder-farmer clashes, saying while international voices and some Nigerian politicians who seek personal gain from division declare this a matter of religion, it is almost entirely a matter of access to water and land. Herders have moved their cattle into contact with farmers for millennia, but increasingly due to population pressure, escalating aridity of northern states and climate change, they are forced to travel further south to find grazing lands. Then in the southeast, the proscribed IPOP are not struggling for freedom when they attack police stations and property, but rather committing acts of terrorism in order to steal money. IPOP, the presidency said, is not defending Christians as their highly paid foreign lobbyists claim, when almost every citizen of those states they terrorize is uniformly Christian. As for Nigerians, what is needed, the presidency said, is coming together by casting asunder to those who seek to divide the country for their own nefarious acts.
Plateau State government has resolved to erect a police post at Yelwan Zangam community in Jos North with immediate effect to safeguard lives and property in the area. Governor Simon Lalong gave this indication during his visit to the community in the aftermath of the attacks that claimed many lives. Priscilla Gurumnan reports.
Following attacks at the Yelwazangam community in Jos North local government area a few days ago, where more than 30 lives were lost, the governor, members of his cabinet and the joint security team in the state visited the community to commiserate with them. Governor Lalong expresses sadness over the unfortunate incident as he vows that perpetrators of the heinous crimes will be tracked and prosecuted.
They are mobilizing more people. I thank God that they are also mobilizing federal, relief materials both from federal and state. And I assure you, those whose stocks were destroyed, the deputy governor will be back again with the relief materials to distribute to all of you.
The Uja Anaguta, President Anaguta Community Development Association and representative of the affected families, thanked the government for coming to identify with them in their trying period and called for concerted efforts of stakeholders towards the protection of lives and property.
We really appreciate the swift intervention of the government when we were attacked. The Governor Lalong is a lover of noble people. as a lover of Just Not, as a lover of Plateau. We continue to encourage him. We continue to stand with him.
The governor inspected the house of the district head where the attacks were said to have started, as well as the only bridge linking the community, which was said to have been vandalized by the attackers. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
Meanwhile, victims of the recent attacks in Plateau State have been given relief materials to cushion the effects of the incident. The State Deputy Governor, Professor Sonny Wanlet-Yoden, this Monday led a delegation to deliver relief materials in Yelwol-Zangam in Jos North Local Government and Miango, where he also visited the traditional ruler, Bra Ngwerigwe, Reverend Ronku Aka. Socio-economic activities are picking up in Jos metropolis following the review of the 24-hour curfew by Plateau State government. Belkis Unuhu has the situation report.
Amadou Bello Way, popularly known as Terminus, the business nerve center of Jos City, a few days ago was a shadow of itself due to the 24-hour curfew imposed on Jos North local government area following recent attacks in some communities, which led to the destruction of lives and property. In view of the relative peace, Governor Simon Lalong, in a state broadcast, relaxed the curfew from dusk to dawn in Jos North. The effect was immediate as socio-economic activities picked up.
Our long-term goal is to foster dialogue, collaboration, understanding, and proactive dispute resolution mechanisms that will make it difficult for people to resort to criminality in the name of self-help and reprisals whenever there is any disagreement.
Some residents thanked the state government for relaxing the curfew.
I feel happy and relaxed because at least someone will go out and look for something to help himself.
This year we feel good because when I heard that the governor has released the coffee, so I feel very happy.
There should be more understanding between the people of Plateau so that they will know more crisis.
At the Plateau State Specialist Hospital, there's influx of patients seeking medical attention.
Before now, the GOPD, the SOPD, the casualty, when I came this morning, the whole place was filled up.
Meanwhile, the ban on tricycle and hawkers remains in force. In Jos, Bilkis Nuhu, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has given the assurance of the federal government to continue working with faith-based communities in the country to build on the achievements made in the past in ensuring lasting peaceful coexistence among all religions and to building new ones. The Vice President stated this when he received a delegation of Muslim Public Affairs Center in Abuja. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Issues put on the table for discussion during the Katse visit include creating more awareness and understanding among adherents of all religions. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo expressed the need to understand, first of all, that there is no way that the nation can deal with the tensions between the faith and ethnicities in Nigeria today unless those in leadership are prepared to make some important sacrifices. In addition to leaders making sacrifices, the Vice President said the notion of respectful dialogue is also crucial, especially at this time, noting that setting up an inclusive platform for interfaith dialogue should be an important consideration by concerned stakeholders. Disu Kamara is the leader of the delegation.
We have to contribute to peace building, and religions, both Christianity and Islam, have rich traditions in them to inspire their adherents to live peacefully with each other. It is time that we continue to emphasize the similarities that we have rather than focus on the differences that have been setting us apart and setting us on each other.
The Vice President applauded the achievements of the center, urging it to be aggressive in the promotion of peace, unity, and religious tolerance. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Still talking security, Kaduna State government has suspended all weekly markets in Berenigwari, Egabi, Giwa, Chikun, and Kajuru local government areas. This follows a review of security situation and recommendations by security agencies. A statement by Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arowan, says the government has also banned selling of petrol in jerry cans within and outside the premises of petrol stations in the 5 local government areas. Security personnel have been directed to ensure compliance with the directives. The state government enjoins citizens to cooperate with security operatives as necessary steps are taken against banditry and criminality across the state. It says security operations room remains open for receiving useful information on how to tackle all forms of crime. Family and friends of Senator representing Kebbi South constituency of Kebbi State, Senator Bala Ibn Naala, are yet to overcome the shock of the gruesome murder of Captain Abdul Karim Bala Ibn Naala by assailant. Haruna Mohammed says the family has been receiving scores of sympathizers in Kaduna over the incident.
Among the early callers are Representative Kabiru Tukura of the House of Representatives and other sympathizers from Kaduna, Kebbi and various parts of the country. They described late Abdul Karim as a gentle, hardworking and likable personality.
It's ugly, it's sad and it's very unfortunate. All we could say is may Allah have mercy on Abdul Karim's soul, may Allah accept him.
He's very loyal to his parents and relatives and friends.
Very terrifying, very painful. All of us are saddened by this development.
It's really sad. It's really sad. Very terrible. Because I cannot resist the call when I heard the news of what happened. But whatever that may have happened, we took it that is what God has destined.
Meanwhile, Kaduna State Police Command has launched full investigation to unravel the circumstances surrounding the incidents with a view to bringing the perpetrators to book. Late Abdul Karim Ibn Naala, aged 36, is the eldest son of Senator Bala Ibn Naala representing KB South Senatorial Zone. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed deep sorrow over the killing of Captain Abdul Karim, the son of Senator Bala Naala in Kaduna. A statement from the presidency described the incident as another tragic chapter in the current security challenges. President Buhari, however, reassures Nigerians of his commitment to protect the lives and property of all Nigerians. He appeals to Nigerians to help security agencies with intelligence to track down and bring the terrorist gangs to justice. The president prayed to Almighty Allah to repose the soul of the late Abdul Karim and give Senator Bala Naala and his family the strength to bear the very painful loss. And President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has condoled with the family of Senator Bala Ibn Naala, who represents Kebbi South in the Senate over the gruesome murder of their son, Abdul Karim Naala. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoniyi, Senator Lawan said he is deeply saddened by what he described as the dastardly murder of the young pilot by yet to be identified cowardly criminals. The Senate President urged the security agencies to thoroughly investigate the incident and bring the perpetrators and others unleashing terror across Nigeria to justice. He called on all Nigerians to support security agencies in fighting crime and insisted that Nigerians must not allow the criminals to overwhelm the nation's capacity to secure the country, as he prayed Allah to comfort the family and repose the soul of the departed in Al-Jannah Firdausi. A meeting of critical stakeholders on the recent development in the security situation of Borno State has ended in the state capital with far-reaching recommendations on ways to approach the current wave of mass surrender by the repentant insurgents. The meeting, chaired by Governor Babagana Umar Zulum, was convened to come up with a bottom-top decision that will be acceptable to all stakeholders of security situation in the state. Mohammed Goni reports.
The current wave of mass surrender by members of the insurgents necessitated the one-day interactive meeting, which brought together stakeholders from all walks of life to brainstorm and offer viable and pragmatic as well as all-inclusive approach that will cater for all issues and concerns raised over the surrender.
I want to listen to the general public, to the generality of people of Borno State. What is your own view? Because the decision has to be a collective one. The situation requires diverse stakeholders, including representatives of our attack community, to come together and critically review the plans, pros, cons, and implications of the surrender in order to agree on a framework that is well taught.
Representative of all stakeholders from the national and state assemblies, traditional institution led by the Shehu of Borno, security formation that include the military, police and Department of State Security, Borno Elders Forum, the victims of the insurgency, the academia represented by Vice Chancellors of University of Maiduguri and Borno State University, Ulamas, Christian community, Interparty Advisory Council, Labor, civil society groups, Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Nigeria Bar Association, as well as National Council of Women's Society, have unanimously welcomed the surrender of the insurgents.
We in the National Assembly are ready to give all the necessary support that will enable us to bring this ugly situation to an end amicably.
We get it right here. We all know that North Central, Northeast, and other parts of the country will equally know peace.
The 16-point communique issued at the end of the broad-based meeting, as read by the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Barrister Kakasha Ulan, appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari towards ending the insurgency and other criminalities in Borno and other parts of the country.
The meeting appreciates the support of the federal government to the state, but however solicited for more funding from the federal government to the state.
The stakeholders stressed need for proper profiling of the repentant Boko Haram insurgents to avoid hasty release of hardened elements into the society. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
You are still watching the NTA Network News Time. Welcome back. The Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, Muhammad Barakindo, has acknowledged Nigeria's handling of the hardships brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. This was shortly after he had an audience with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, at his office in Abuja. Barakindo noted with satisfaction that Nigeria was able to navigate the tough period when demand and consumption of oil and gas dropped by 22 million barrels and the price fell to negative.
The people of Nigeria have every reason to beat their chest and congratulate themselves for such a remarkable achievement. And I want to use this opportunity also to congratulate the SGF, to commend him not only for helping steer the machinery of government, but also his additional responsibility on COVID. The task force has been doing a remarkable job. We follow very closely from Vienna their activities.
He's commended the government for its ability to have the Petroleum Industry Act passed into law. The last time we had such an exercise was in 1969, I think. And from 69 to date, nothing has happened dramatically in the oil and gas industry. And the Act has brought to fore the liberalization of the oil and gas industry. And I believe that with the time limit of 1 year for its implementation, we'll be able to see accruable benefits to the people of Nigeria.
Boss Mustafa thanked the OPEC Secretary General for giving Nigeria a good representation and guidance. He attributed the feat of getting out of recession in record time after the COVID-19 lockdown and the growth recently recorded in GDP to the measures taken by government to protect Nigeria and her citizens. The federal government says it will continue to implement the Economic Sustainability Plan amongst other programs in a bid to sustain upward trend in the country's latest gross domestic product, GDP. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed said this at a joint briefing in Abuja. Musa Abubakar reports.
Efforts by the federal government to put the economy back on the path of growth is gradually paying off. Latest gross domestic product figure by the National Bureau of Statistics showed that the economy grew by 5.01% and is welcomed by the federal government at this briefing. Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed attributed the more than 5% second quarter 2021 growth to the various interventions, such as the Continuous Economic Sustainability Plan implementation by the federal government.
Impact on the lives of the citizens until we get to a growth rate that is significantly larger than the birth rate, we call it the population rate. The impact will not be felt by every Nigerian. But you will begin to see the impact on industry, on services, and what that means is there will be more employment to reduce the unemployment levels, and there will be more consumption levels will increase because there will be more funds in the hands of people. It's a gradual process, and we will reach our growth aspiration.
With the medium-term national development plan, the projection is to have about a minimum of 7% growth rate. That's what we are pursuing. But there are a number of reforms that needs to take place in the economy for us to maintain sustainable growth.
And every government in the world has divided and has devised systems and strategies to combat in COVID-19.
Overall, I'm hoping that before the end of the year, I think the Nigerian economy should be able to grow above 5%.
They explained that the recovery is a process and the impact will gradually be felt by the citizenry. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
In politics, leaders of the All Progressives Congress in Benue State have called on the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, to publicly apologize to President Muhammadu Buhari. The Minister of Special Duties and former governor of Benue State, George Akume, who led APC stakeholders at a press briefing, called on the president to declare a state of emergency in Benue State due to the security situation there. Salihu Abdullahi Gwalara reports.
The APC group says this follows the current security situation in the state and the utterances of Governor Samuel Otom, who has been reported making uncomplimentary remarks against the president. The stakeholders at this briefing said this is not the time to sit on the fence and stated their position with an agenda to promote harmonious relationship and peace within Benue State. Benue State, like other states, it was agreed here, is the beneficiary of the current administration with hundreds of billions of naira allocated to it as monthly allocation and other interventions.
To fight insecurity in any part of the nation is a joint effort among the three tiers of government, federal, state, and local governments, of which President Buhari regularly assigns various and forces formations to help Benue in the exercise.
The stakeholders also demanded for true accountability of Governor Otom's led government in Benue State and urged him to engage all tiers of government to enable him regain control of the state.
We demand that the governor renders account of the arbitrary 800 million monthly deductions he appropriates to himself as security votes, as well as the over 200 million monthly deduction he makes from the local government joint account. We invite the EFCC to step into the matter and help the Benue people.
They commended the Buhari administration for embarking on infrastructural projects of more than 270 billion naira in Benue State. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Turning now to judicial matters. Following the recent spate of conflicting expertise orders of some courts over some political matters, the Chief Justice of Nigeria has summoned the heads of courts concerned. Femi Okewo has the story.
The Nigerian Television Authority can exclusively confirm that the Chief Justice of Nigeria and Chairman of the National Judicial Council, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, has shown concern over the series of conflicting and contradictory ex parte orders of courts on some political leadership matters, which have resulted in embarrassing the nation's judiciary. The summons went to the Chief Judges of Jigawa, Rivers, Kebbi, Anambra, and Cross River States judiciaries for an emergency meeting to brief the Chief Justice of Nigeria on the incessant granting of conflicting ex parte applications by courts of coordinate jurisdiction. The CJN's letter of summons said that an explanation is even more compelling having regard to the earlier NJC's warning to judicial officers to be circumspect in granting ex parte applications. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
Away from the judiciary, police personnel attached to the gender unit of the force are now more equipped to carry out their mandate. Francis Form reports that the officers have undergone an intensive training to increase their intelligence in this field.
Child abuse, now the fear of many in contemporary society, a modern-day crime that increased the scope of the duties of the force. The police not deterred by the alarming rates, rather equipping its men to face the present realities.
If we allow them to be subjected to undue molestation, harassment, and the rest of them, it will weigh down on their psyche.
Towards solving the different challenges.
Personnel manning the gender desk are getting some professional training from experts with the Nasarawa State University to enhance their understanding in the modern trends of policing, protecting and enforcing the law in child rights protection.
Child protection or child molestation is everybody's business as it is. And I will make sure I put into use what I've learned from this 2 days workshop.
It's not just a one-off. We expect that after we leave, we would have imparted the necessary skills and knowledge in them to be able to imbibe and institutionalize most of these issues.
We need to understand that children are the future. Any attempt at all to tamper with that future will be disastrous for all of us as a nation.
Cooperation from the public is a major facilitator in reducing this antisocial norm. Experts appeal. Francis from NTA News.
The Nigerian army is to collaborate with the Turkish military to further upscale the ongoing fight against terrorism in the northeast. This was the thrust of the courtesy visit of the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, Hidayat Beraktar, to the Nigerian army headquarters, Abuja. The ambassador notes that considering Turkey's several years of counterinsurgency operations, it will work with Nigeria to end the decade-long war in northeast.
As we have gone through the same challenges in Turkey, we are ready to, assist or to work together or collaborate with Nigeria in this field. We have so many potentials that we can, both share.
We also have other areas of interest, particularly maybe in our air defense equipment that we can now rely on Turkey for us to now mutually benefit from one another.
The two militaries promised to support each other in the areas of training and equipment. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has confiscated more than 100 billion naira worth of illicit drugs from January to date. Chairman of the agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, disclosed this when he called on Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje at the Kano Government House. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
Kano, which until 2016 was the most affected state by the use and trafficking of illicit drugs, is gradually stepping down the ladder. This follows a strengthened partnership between the state government and law enforcement agencies. The visit to Kano by the chairman, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and DLEA, is to appreciate the success story and identify additional areas of collaboration towards curtailing the menace.
The NDLEA is upstanding to make sure that we deny both the users and traffickers access to drugs of all forms. In Kano, the prevalence is 16%, which is 1 in 6 persons within the age bracket of 15 and 64.
We have some institutions that are absolutely necessary in fighting drug abuse and drug distribution.
Governor Ganduje assured the chairman of increased financial and logistic support to the Kano command of the NDLEA to effectively discharge its duties. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Time to go over to Lagos, where Hingino is standing by with more stories from that axis.
Thank you, Kenneth. While residents of Satellite Town in Lagos are battling the uncontrollable spread of tank farms within their environment, a container terminal has surprisingly emerged from the thin air further aggravating the trauma and fear of people living in the area. Michael Olale reports that residents now face the problem of cohabiting with too dangerous infrastructure.
Liverpool Estate in Satellite Town has a new neighbor. It is a container terminal right inside the bend and corner of a residential area. The first curiosity was the possibility of a container-laden truck to navigate within these environments. But not quite long, I was met with surprises. It is a horrible sight to behold for Amara Ifeanyi, and she shared part of the traumatizing experiences witnessed every day.
That sharp bending is where we're having an issue now. A tanker was coming and another one was bending, and there was a bike carrying a child going. And so it was just by God's grace, it was averted because the child and the person carrying the child had to jump down from the bike quickly.
The tales of havoc wreaked by trucks on major expressway is always fresh in the mind of Helen Babajide, and she cannot just imagine the timing bomb the community is sitting on.
We cannot sleep. There are vibrations. You know, you are sleeping and you are wondering, is your house going to collapse?
It's a kind of human-based developmental programs. If you are talking of commercial center, heavy commercial investments, take these investments to where they belong.
The situation at Satellite Town is like occupying the thin line between the devil and the deep blue sea, due to the presence of tank farms within the corridor. But the starting points to ameliorating their challenges, according to residents, should include the removal of infrastructure threatening their lives. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Let's now turn our attention to health. The Delta variant is now the dominant SARS-CoV-2 strain, and it is spreading rapidly. This is a threat to the fight against the pandemic. Our correspondent examines the extent of its presence in Lagos. The Delta variant, according to recent research, targets the younger population, unlike previous strains.
The workforce will be challenged because this younger population are the workforce of the country, and then the economy will take a batter.
This development poses a huge setback to the progress achieved in the fight against the pandemic. In Lagos, the third surge, dominated by the Delta strain, has already claimed more than 135 lives. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu recently disclosed that positivity rate has increased to 12.1% in the past weeks, compared to 7% recorded at the end of July.
As long as transmission continues to persist among the general populace, so as much as we will expect the virus to mutate to form a new kind of variant.
Medical experts recommend that, in addition to familiar preventive protocols, individuals must be acquainted with how the variant presents.
People who have these particular variants, they present with, sort of cold and cough symptoms, headache, and, fever. Some people have fever. So it just looks more like somebody's had a flu.
As Nigerians stay optimistic about a return to normalcy, experts advise that vaccination and utmost compliance with preventive measures are in order to get the country out of the woods. It's time for another break. Network News.
Welcome back. France works with African partners to deliver 10 million vaccines to Africa as investors in the stock market lose 82.83 billion naira to open the week negative. Musa Abubakar will bring us details on business news.
Thank you, Kelly. African Union member states will receive an additional 10 million doses of AstraZeneca and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines over the next 3 months through a new partnership between the French government and the African Union. The vaccines will be allocated and distributed by the initiative known as the Africa Vaccine Acquisition Trust (AVAT) and the COVAX Global Vaccine Initiative. The AVAT initiative was set up as a pool procurement mechanism for the African Union member states to be able to buy enough vaccines for at least 50% of their needs. The AVAT works closely with the COVAX initiative, which seeks to provide the other 50% through donations. AVAT is managed on behalf of the African Union member states by an alliance of the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, as well as the African Export-Import Bank, which also provides the funding for the acquisition of vaccines. AVAT has already acquired enough vaccines for African countries to vaccinate 400 million people, or 1/3 of the African population, by September next year at the cost of $3 billion, supported by an innovative partnership with the World Bank. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has announced the formal engagement of the global fintech company Bit Inc. as the technical partner for its digital currency named e-Naira, which is due to be unveiled later in the year. This development was disclosed in Abuja by the governor of the Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Mefele, who listed the benefits of the central bank digital currency to include increased cross-border trade, accelerated financial inclusion, cheaper and faster remittance inflows, easier targeted social interventions, as well as improvement in monetary policy effectiveness, payment systems efficiency, and tax collection. Now, equities market closed today on a negative note. The all-share index depreciated by 0.40% to close at 39,326.67 basis points, a market capitalization at 20.4 trillion naira. 301 million shares valued at 1.5 billion naira were traded in 4,715 deals. Well, that's business news. It's back to you, Kenna.
Thank you very much, Musa. The federal government has flagged off disbursement of 5,000 naira monthly stipend to 10,000 poor and vulnerable households in Ogun State under its conditional cash transfer program. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadiya Farouk, says the initiative intends to increase access to financial capital required for economic activities among the beneficiaries. Leko Abunde reports.
The minister, who was represented, said the conditional cash transfer program is designed by the federal government to uplift the socio-economic status of the less privileged. She said the program, no doubt, has impacted positively on the quality of life and rural economy, especially among the poor and vulnerable households. The beneficiaries say the grant will go a long way to improve their livelihood and businesses.
They gave us the money that we did not work for freely. It shall be well with them. We are very happy with what they have done for her. I will use the money to improve my trade.
I surely use the money to pay those who make wages for me in my farm, and I expect more yield in my farm thereafter.
Ogun State government, while appreciating the federal government for the inclusion of the state in the program, said the state government is also committed to improving economic potentials of vulnerable households for self-sufficiency.
These two programs now, conditional cash transfer and JIP, Ogun State people will start benefiting.
According to the minister, the initiative since inception in 2016 has succeeded in taking millions of poor and vulnerable Nigerians out of poverty. In Abuja, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Tokyo 2020 Paralympics, Nigeria shines with 2 additional medals after this.